I absolutely love getting out in the local community, so I enjoy hiking, including hiking up a beautiful Poston Butte Mountain here in Florence.
I was in the United States Navy. I was a boatswain mate, petty officer third class. I drove a missile retriever for quite a few years off the coast of California. We did a lot of search and rescue operations, as well as weapons testing for Point Mugu.
I live here in A.E.M.A, Minnesota, and this community is home to me. It's where I raised my kids. It's where I recreate and just enjoy living in the north woods of Minnesota.
So I live in Duluth, Minnesota. So Northland is a place that we moved to for school initially and fell in love with it up here. And so being out in the woods here is fantastic, being close to the lake. You know, we love the community here, the people, the landscape, everything. I have wanted to be a geologist since I was 4 because I love volcanoes and dinosaurs. Mining gives us almost everything that we need for our modern industry. If it's not grown, if it's not pumped from petroleum, it must be mined. There are a few other options.
It's an opportunity to give back to your local community and to really feel like you're making a positive difference through your job. And that's what I absolutely love about this industry and what will keep me in this industry for the rest of my life.
Mining in Arizona has been around for a lot of years. I think that the mining companies have done a safe job of what they've done to protect the land. They're making changes, they're modernizing mining. A lot of opportunity for kids and environment. But I think mining can go work alongside any industry here in the state of Arizona and be successful.
What it means to me to be a miner is to take care of the resources and the environment that we're mining in. There's a bumper sticker out that says if it can't be farmed, it must be mined. And mining can be done responsibly. And that's my goal, is to try to support the good effort of mining.
I am Sophie. I'm a community volunteer. I am an advocate for my local community of Florence, Arizona.
I am Wendy. I am a mom. I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I'm a carport mechanic and a self-taught remodeler.
I'm Pete. I'm a dad, husband, author, mountain biker, and community volunteer in Hibbing, Minnesota.
I am Alex. I'm a dad, I'm a cyclist, I'm a woodworker, and a scientist.
My name is Bobby Armenta. I'm a veteran, I'm an educator. I am mining.
I am mining.
And I am mining.
And I am mining.
And I am mining.
Welcome, folks. I'm Chris Temple of the National Investor and Strategic Media, and I'm privileged to be joined today by my friend Mark Compton, who is the Executive Director of the American Exploration and Mining Association, and Devon Coquillard. She is the Projects Manager and takes care of the conferences and things like that. So welcome to you both.
Thanks, Chris.
You know, and I mentioned a conference, and of course, the impetus for this particular discussion, which you're seeing bits and pieces of, or maybe the whole thing, if you follow the Yellow Brick Road, is the upcoming conference, 130th, right, Mark?
This is actually our 131st.
131st.
We're celebrating our 130th anniversary in 2025. But of course, the first conference was in year 0. So It's actually our 131st conference.
There you go. And that's going to be in Reno, Nevada, the second week in December. I will be happy to be there again. It's been a few years since I've been there. I've been there on and off. And in the old days when it was always in Spokane, I would go over there once in a while back. I don't know, I hate to say how long ago that was. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. And it's especially timely right now because I think more than in a very, very long time, the American people, the investment community, policymakers, legislators, and others have got mining on the brain, if you will, as well as all of the other industries that go with that, more than any time in a very, very long time, because of the Trump administration's initiative, and because, as I've said many times, and I know you've heard me say this too, Mark, this is an economic and a national security imperative that we get our house in order. So So, Mark, with everything going on, tell me about how you see the mission of the AEMEA today here in 2025, what the opportunities are, the new tailwinds from the public policy impetus from the Trump administration and elsewhere, and still the opportunity to get the public on board, the challenges of that, and those type of subjects.
Well, thanks, Chris. And I've been doing this for a long time now, couple of decades, just in the mining association world. And as I like to tell people, it's a lot of fun finally being one of the cool kids in town. Because, like you said, everyone is talking about mining. Mining is top of mind, both from an economic and national security perspective. I think we have, and it's not just the Trump administration and their focus. I believe we have more bipartisan support for the domestic mining industry than we have had in a very, very long time, if ever. And I think it really began with the pandemic, and we saw supply chain issues across virtually every sector of the economy. And then since then, certain geopolitical events, namely the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where we really started to see the weaponization of supply chains. And I think that has led to broad bipartisan recognition of the importance of having a strong domestic mining industry and secure mineral supply chains, both here at home and with our allies.
You mentioned COVID a moment ago, Mark. What's remarkable is that I think a lot of Americans already knew, or at least had a sense of this, that it wasn't just, sneakers and t-shirts and doodads and Christmas toys that we outsourced to China and Bangladesh and
Yeah.
whatever, uranium and uranium enrichment to Russia, et cetera, over time. But it really came home, as you mentioned, with COVID when we found out that we don't even get a lot of pharmaceuticals, vitamins, bandages. I mean, holy cow, we really let our guard down and put ourselves in a vulnerable position.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, for way too many years, decades even, uh, we have had, as a nation, I think, a policy that some have termed of benign neglect towards the mining industry. And that policy of benign neglect has resulted in record high mineral import reliance on foreign countries. And in way too many instances, that reliance is on, from countries that are really adversaries of the United States. So that's really where the national security implications come in.
Well, for sure, and we've learned that in the recent past with the embargoes that China has imposed on us over a number of minerals. There's a purported truce that is ongoing right now, but I don't think
Mhm.
anybody's holding their breath for that to last in its present form for the next year. We don't know what's going to happen in the end, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. But Devin, let me go to you. What brought you to the AEMA? What was your interest in looking at the mining industry?
Well, I actually joined A.E.M.A. In 2015. And then I left the industry and I left A.E.M.A. and then came back in late 2023. And I came into the mining industry not knowing. I learned it was like drinking from a fire hose. Fell in love with the industry, ended up leaving, but had to come back because it is such a great industry and everyone's um, so kind. It's a really lovely industry to be a part of.
Well, I've always liked it. I follow all different kinds of industry and not just mining, but over the years, and I've gotten to visit a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries, it is a very close-knit, almost family, you'd say, with mining. I mean, people in Arizona know people in Quebec. Geologists in Alaska know geologists in Arizona. and it goes on, and all good, hardworking people. And that's what I think a lot of Americans don't always understand. You know, we've got too many people that have this milk comes from a grocery store attitude rather than from a farm. And the same is true with mining. You know, that people don't realize that whatever isn't grown is mined, and everything that we have, everything around us, our homes, our offices, our vehicles, everything depends on folks that you represent. So Devon, with this upcoming conference now in Reno, you're kind of taking charge of making sure the train runs on time and that type of thing. What are you excited about this year with the different things going on public policy wise?
I think our program is super strong. It's, I think, one of our strongest programs. We have 28 technical sessions, and it runs the gamut of mineral and geology all the way to legislative and policy. Um, Mark is holding a New Day in Mining in America session on Friday, but we have something for everyone in our technical program, whether you are a geologist, whether you are into public affairs and policy, operations, environmental, we have something for everyone. And I think that's what's so cool about the annual meeting is it brings all of the mining industry, everyone that we represent. And like you said, it's our family reunion at the end of the year for the industry and for our members. And it's really exciting to catch up and see everyone we haven't seen since last December.
That's pretty neat. And when you say something for everyone, what's really, I mean, desperately needed is labor. People who are young people coming up now that realize that there's a future in this industry, there are high paying jobs in this industry, and there's a crying need. I know that, you know, a mutual friend of all of ours, Adam Hawkins, who will be also one of the people at the conference running at least one of the sessions that I know of. He and I were on a panel together at the Critical Trends in Mining Finance Conference last spring in New York. And one of the things he pointed out was that, you know, we have, I think one of the things besides uranium, one of the things personally I'm most bullish on as far as a commodity going forward is copper. We need a lot of copper. We've got some new technologies in Arizona that could be a game changer and allow us to be able to produce finished product all in the U.S. if everything goes right. It's a huge story. I know that you both know about this. But one of the things that Adam pointed out was that, you know, we've got several development stage projects in Arizona. And if you could wave a magic wand and all of a sudden tomorrow they were all fully permitted, the financing was in place and all the rest, you still can't get them going because there's 3,000 some odd people needed for specialized positions and they're not there. So, you know, Mark, as far as the education part of it, I think that's one of the great things that the AEMA does, like the SME and a couple other organizations, stresses getting kids into college, getting them into trade schools, helping them to realize that there are good jobs. You don't have to drive an Uber or flip pizzas or that kind of a thing. You can have a really good career and a high paying job in a very needed industry in many of these areas that are on a comeback. So how do you approach helping to meet that need, Mark?
Yeah, well, certainly, Chris, workforce challenges are key for this industry moving forward. If we're going to meet the mineral demand that's out there, we need a skilled workforce. And just an illustration of the challenge that we face, it's estimated that about half of today's mining workforce is going to be eligible to retire in the next 5 years. I mean, that is a really daunting statistic. And the fact is, we're not producing that skilled workforce. We're not educating that skilled workforce right now in this country. 30 years ago, we had about 25 mining schools. We're down to 13 or 14 now.
Wow.
We're producing about 300 mining engineers annually in this country. China is producing thousands. So that, yeah, that kind of tells you some of the challenge that we face. Uh, AEMA and the industry is coming about this from a few different angles. One, we're trying to help bolster the mining programs in the universities that are out there. We're supporting a bill called the Mining Schools Act that would provide some grant funding to the mining schools to help bolster their programs and recruit new students. We have programs like the A.E.M.A Society, which is a professional development program, a kind of a mentorship program to take some of that knowledge that's out there from folks that maybe have hair more my color to the younger folks that are in the industry and really help develop the next generation of leaders in mining. But I think one important point is it's not just mining engineers that we need or metallurgists or economic geologists, but we need the skilled trades as well. And so it goes well beyond mining specific things, but from a from an opportunity standpoint, the opportunities in mining are amazing. It is one of the highest paid industries out there. No matter what you do or what your interest is, there's a place for you in the mining industry. And I think that's it. We need to generate that excitement among young folks to let them know that mining's an opportunity for them.
Well, for sure, and carrying that thought just a little bit farther, Mark and Devon. Before I played this video, I had a couple of your own clips. You've got a little series out there you just produced now, I Am Mining, with people who aren't just digging holes in the ground. They don't have the
Right.
pick and a shovel and a hard hat with a lantern on it, or the modern version of a jack. They're not operating a jack leg or driving a loader, but you've got hydrologists, you've got
Mhm.
environmental people, you've got metallurgists, you've got people that know how to work on heavy equipment and all that kind of thing. And it's like a lot of different industries. One mining job translates into several others that are ancillary ones, even when it comes to local areas where you've got people that have hardware stores, restaurants, whatever the case may be, that
Right.
service all of that. It's a big deal. Um, Devon, you're not nearly as seasoned, I'll use a polite term, as Mark and I. Uh, how do you see things from your perspective as far as getting folks of, your own age group and whatnot, let alone younger, to understand these opportunities that are out there?
I think what we were talking about just a little bit ago is exactly right. There are opportunities, whatever you're interested in. Like I work in mining, but I plan events, and we need marketers, we need communications professionals, we need whatever interest you have, there's a spot for you in mining because it's not just geologists. It's not just that in the industry. We need everyone. And so I think relaying that message, that's part of the I Am Mining campaign, is to showcase the people behind our industry and to show that there are all these opportunities and it's not one size fits all. There's not a type of person that is a miner. Um, you can be whoever you are and be a miner.
Sure. Let me go to a somewhat different subject, though still obviously related to mining for you, Mark. This year, there has been a pretty hot debate, and it's really interesting, depending on whether you come at things as a free enterprise person, a libertarian, whatever, over some of the moves that President Trump has made, specifically when it comes to making direct investments into different mining companies. I've had everybody from one side of the argument say, well, since when is the federal government a private equity fund? Is
Mhm.
that the federal government's job? Do we want the federal government deciding winners and losers? Because we all know, good intentions aside, the federal government's usually a pretty lousy manager of capital and decision making when it comes to business.
Yeah.
That's better left in the private sector. The
Yeah.
other side is, as I've said, you and I have had this conversation in the past over things like an infrastructure bank and things like that. even what's happened to date with some of these investments is a pimple on a flea compared to the vast amount of money and investment that's really needed for us to do the job right and not stay behind the eight ball. So how do you, with the A.E.M.A, how are you guys viewing this whole debate and the investments and whatnot that the president's made?
Yeah, well, the fact is, Chris, I am a free market guy, and I think most people in the mining industry are free market minded, free enterprise minded. And in a perfect world, that would be that would be the case. Those are not the same rules that some of our adversaries play by, namely China. You know, they're manipulating the market and driving commodity prices to maintain their monopoly over some of these commodities and the processing and the supply chain. So, uh, I see some of the equity stakes that are being taken out there by the federal government as a band-aid approach uh, to get us to a point where the market wants to invest in the United States and in the U.S. mining industry. You know, if we're going to be more self-reliant, we have to have policies in the United States that encourage investment. We've got to have certainty. We've got to have access to public lands. We've got to have more efficient permitting system. We've got to have that skilled workforce, like we talked about. Doing all those things makes the U.S. a more attractive mining jurisdiction and will attract that capital. Things like the I.E.M. mining campaign that makes the industry more relatable to the general public. You know, that we're not just some faceless corporate entity. We're people. You know, and that campaign's highlighting the industry's greatest asset, and that is our people. All of these things combined ultimately makes the industry more attractive from an investment standpoint in the U.S. To the point where we're not going to need this government assistance or the government equity stakes. But it's so I kind of view it as a bridge to get us where we need to go.
Well said, and I pretty much am on board with exactly that same sentiment. You know, the task is so daunting before us, and as you correctly pointed out, I mean, China in some instances has deliberately lost money to drive everybody else out of
Sure.
business. And that was what to me, not to get too far afield, that was what to me was important when the government specifically got into that deal with MP Materials in California, because one of the elements of that that I think was most important that a lot of people overlooked was the fact that they guaranteed a realistic real world price
Hmm.
for MP's rare earth products,
Right.
not dependent on China. And you probably know this, both of you, but you know, Benchmark a few years ago, especially when the whole EV craze was kind of at its peak and investment wise at least, and you had lithium prices were going nuts, nickel was going nuts, et cetera, and the debate was about how we're going to be producing these things in North America. They were the ones that started this idea of a multi-tiered pricing system, because we in North America cannot run good economies, good projects, get financing or anything if we're going to use, quote, global pricing. Use substitute China for global
Yeah.
in the pricing, you know, and that's been a big deal. So I hope that that MP Materials model is replicated many, many times going forward, because it needs to be. Devin, let me ask you one more thing as far as how the A.E.M.A and this conference coming up are attracting younger people. I know that there are numerous workshops and what you call short courses at the conference. I think you're going to have something like what, 2,000 people or so, Mark? Do you think you
Yeah,
might
we're
reach?
yeah, we should have about 2,000
That's
people. We'll have
great.
a sold out trade show, and as Devin mentioned, a really strong technical program. So it no, it's exciting. We're
That's
really looking
awesome.
forward to it.
Well, tell us a little bit more, Devin, before we wrap up, a few of the specific ideas of what young people who are going to be there. And I know the registration is pretty much closed. You've got everybody registered because it's only in a couple of weeks, but there'll be coverage of it after the fact, and you guys continue to come out with all different kinds of public interest information. You're lobbying, you do a bunch of different stuff. And along with this video, of course, we'll have information on how people can find out about the A.E.M.A and membership and so forth. But specifically, Devin, for the conference, what type of stuff would a young adult who really knows little about the industry come in the door and say, wow, over?
Well, so you can get tickets at the door. So pre-registration is closed, but you can buy tickets at the door.
Okay.
If you haven't pulled the trigger, you still can. But for anyone coming in for the first time, we have 250 exhibitors to explore that run the gamut of the industry. Cool new technology is featured. We have a really strong technical program. We have one session, it's called The Future of Mining, and that's for students and early career professionals who are presenting their ideas and their research, and that's a really cool opportunity in addition to our other 27 technical sessions. But we have a lot of opportunities for students and early career professionals. We have a student and early career professional lunch in addition to our other two keynote luncheons. And we have a networking session just for students and those early career professionals that will happen Wednesday evening. But there's a lot of opportunity to network. There's a lot of opportunity to learn. And I think that's the big key is there is opportunity to connect, learn, and discover. And I think that's what keeps people coming back year after year.
We have, as time has gone on, we have a more and more complicated world, but things do come back down to basics, to food, shelter, and mining is a part of that contributes especially to shelter and our technology and everything else. It's good that we've seen in the last year, especially all of the stuff about the data centers and AI coming, not because I think that all of that is on the level. I think that there's a little bit of silliness with some of this stuff, investment wise, and some of the valuations in the marketplace. But a good side benefit of that is that it's got people to understand that, hey, if you want to power all this stuff, we need a lot of energy. Where's it going to come from? Well, it's going to come from natural gas and uranium. It's going to come from drilling for natural gas and pipelines to get it to where it needs to go. And it's going to come from reinvigorating our uranium production, where we one time led the world. And we gave that up too. But that's actually a story that's on the rebound as good as any in this
Mhm.
country, I think, right now. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially for young people. Several years ago, I took a bunch of my grandchildren and some other people on a couple of different field trips up in the Iron Range up in Minnesota. So they've all gone a half mile underground at the old Sudan iron mine, which is now a state park since it's stopped operating. And we actually had a little private tour because I had such a long relationship with Polymet, which is no more, of course. Now it's New Range Copper and Nickel. But I first set foot, believe it or not, on Polymet's North Met project 25 years ago
Mm.
for the first time, and that's how screwed up things are, folks. Is that 25 years later, we've got a world-class development stage asset that still sits there
Yeah.
that could be supplying a lot of the things we get from overseas. But anyway, one of my grandsons, especially, as soon as he found out he could blow stuff up, he says, "That's the industry I want to be in." That was his motivation.
Yeah.
But it was fun beyond that to see how interested they were, and it really is cool. And I love to see when young people, my own and others, learn this industry, see different pretty rocks, see equipment and things like this for the first time, and realize this is really how the world works. So, any other parting comments from either of you before we wrap up on the conference?
Yeah, I would just say we're AEMA is working with, obviously others in the industry. Nothing's done in a vacuum, but
Sure.
we are working diligently to make sure that we have a coherent, durable minerals policy in this country. And we're going to talk a lot about that in a couple weeks in Reno and the efforts underway there and the things that still need to get accomplished. And so I just welcome one and all to come join us, learn about the efforts that are underway and how you can all help get us to the finish line here.
And Devon, along those lines, and I'll again have a couple of links along with this video, as well as a couple of the screenshots I've shared about your website and what you do. But it's not just people that are in the mining industry that are members of A.E.M.A, is it?
No, we have everyone that it runs the whole scope of the industry. So yeah.
You got small business owners, you've got individuals who believe in what you're doing and realize the importance of it and everything as the three of us obviously do. So, well, look, both of you, Devon and Mark, thanks for your time today. I'm looking forward to seeing both of you down in Reno and rolling up my sleeves and learning a lot. I always go to these things as a sponge. And again, it's an especially important time now that finally, at long last, and kind of channeling a comment you said early on, Mark, and this is the best policy tailwind, and as far as good intentions are concerned, of our lifetimes in this industry. And what's also helping that are a lot of the new technologies coming on, some of which will be featured down there at the conference. And so it's a really exciting time. A lot of work to do. Still an uphill fight, but at least we seem to have bottomed, and we're starting that uphill move again in this industry, and it's going to benefit all Americans. It's going to benefit our national security and our economy and everything. So I look forward to the conference and to seeing the both of you. Thanks so much for your time today.
Chris, thanks for having us on. Look forward to seeing you in Reno.
Take care.
All right.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Zadro. I'm a student at University of Arizona in mining engineering.
My name is Jake Pacheco. I'm at the University of Arizona Mining Engineering Program.
Hi, my name is Greatness Ojim, and I'm a senior studying mining engineering at the University of Arizona.
My name is Sam Bonaparte. I go to the University of Arizona and I'm studying mining engineering.
Hi, I'm Seth Irwin. I am studying eco-hydrology and watershed management.
My name is Alma Reasoner. I'm a geology student at the University of Arizona. Well, mining isn't like your Minecraft, you are going down there with a pick and axe. Mining, you aren't covered in soot anymore. If you want to work in mining, you can be working in the lab, you can be working on a computer crunching numbers, you can be driving the haul truck if you want to, but there's really a space for everyone in mining, and if you're even remotely interested in, people should really look into it.
There are so many different ways and angles and avenues you can take to work with the industry, whether that be hydrology, whether that be environmentalism, whether that be mine operations themselves.
There's so many options in mining. I mean, you can be a civil engineer, you can be a mechanical, electrical. I mean, mining's just so diverse in that aspect.
Mining has a spot for pretty much any interest in any background, really. And a lot of the times when they're in like computer systems or electrical engineering, their degree is really useful for us in the industry. And also there's tons of opportunities. It's not a dead end. Once you're in mining, you can go all sorts of places.
People think mining is pickaxes underground, but mining has turned into something so much more than that. It's become technology, and there's a lot of innovation going into the field right now. There's so many different areas within mining engineering to go into, so you're really able to find what drives you within mining.
Mining industry is so vast. There's so many things that you could put your hands in. It's not just for engineers, there's public health majors, emphasis in mining, there's chemical engineers, there's even just like communications. There's so many people who are involved in the mining industry. We cannot work alone. My name is Greatness Ojim, and I am mining.
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 We hope you got a lot out of today's subject. Make sure you avail yourself of the resources and contacts offered today. Subscribe to this channel for future topics and opportunities. And if you have any questions, drop us a line. Thanks for tuning in.